How's it going, everyone? It's Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Lucid and we're going to be talking about MULLN. Tesla also did come out with their earnings. We'll be talking about that as well. But as far as for Lucid, you can see that we're gaining a good amount of strength above the psychological area at 20 bucks. We'll talk about that more. And as far as for MULLN, yes, it does continue to barcode, but there's some things that I want you to take notice of. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description, and we're going to be taking a look at the chart, and we're also going to be taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for both of these stocks. And then of course I'll give you guys my final recap. So let's get into those videos right now. So we're going to take a look at the chart for Lucid. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $21.27, being up 4.37%. On the low it tested $20.36, and then on the high testing $21.34. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 14.516 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 14.692 million shares. So around the average in regards to volume, and we also saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a 30-minute chart, the first thing I want to bring to your attention, we were able to break above $20.61, and we saw a high at $21.34. Of course, it's seeing some momentum in the after hours due to Tesla's earnings. I also did say that I wanted us to form a higher low, and we did that as well, testing the low of $20.36. I was saying as long as we can have a higher low of above 20 bucks, we are good, and that's exactly what we got. So as far as going into tomorrow, since we did see a high at $21.34 and we closed at $21.27, I would love for us to form another higher low at the minimum $20.50, and then seeing if Lucid can make that move to $22. If you remember, the short-term price target is around $22.50 that I have for this stock. As far as for weakness is concerned, you'd want to see if it would break through the low of the day at $20.36, but then of course we'd want to see support coming in right here at $20. This is very doable, and that's why I want to make sure you add that to your homework as well. The only time I see things starting to look bearish for Lucid is unless we break below $19.34, but in my personal opinion, if the market continues to run up, I'm just not seeing it. We also have noticed that Lucid does continue to be on a strong uptrend. Of course, you can see it trading above the 200 EMA, and it has been doing very well ever since July the 5th. So this was after the long weekend, and this run up should not be of no surprise whatsoever due to the fact where I was saying, if you're taking a look at the overall trend, this stock is looking really good, and that's what we are seeing. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Lucid. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So for the recent filings we have here for the 20th, we have Kestra Advisory Services LLC that purchased 25,586 shares. We have Harrell Insurance Investment and Financial Services Limited that purchased 5,649 shares. And now when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 52.32%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 2.37 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 700,000, updated 29 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 13.98%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 18th, it is at 50.48, and then for the close of the 19th, being at 52.32. So it has gone up a bit, and then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 23.39%, Lucid continues to have short squeeze potential. So we're going to take a look at the chart from MULLN. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $1.09. There was no change whatsoever. On the low, it tested $1.06, and then on the high, testing $1.14. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 26.602 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 48.055 million shares. So we had below average volume on the day, and of course we had no change in the stock. Now when we take a look at our chart, we're using the 15-minute chart because again Mullen just continues to barcode. But if you remember what I said yesterday, that we would have resistance right here at 114, and look what happened. We tested 114 and then the price ended up pulling back. But one thing that we did notice though, we did form a higher low from yesterday, so that is a positive sign. And right now Mullen is able to stay above the 200 EMA, which is at $1.08. If it can continue to hold above 106, maybe we can get a higher low around 107 or 108. I'd want to see a retest to 114 and then seeing if we could break above that level. If we do, then the next area to keep an eye on will be right here around 116. So please add that to your homework. But again, it's going to be very crucial for Mullen to be able to get to $1.10, and like it did today, form that support. We want to see some consolidation and then seeing the move up. But what you really want to see is if Mullen can hold $1.10 and break above $1.12. You can see that it had a good amount of resistance here at this $1.12 level, and then it started to sell off. So we need a retest to that area of 112, make that push to 114, and see if we can get to $1.16. That would be the best case scenario for this play, and maybe by the end of the week Mullen might be trading at least around 120 or maybe be around $1.18. But if it doesn't do that and it continues to form a higher low, at least we know there's still buyers interested in the stock. So we're going to take a look at the recent short interest information from Mullen. So the off exchange short volume ratio is at 49.97%, and then for the off exchange short volume it is just over 10.84 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 0, updated just now, and as far as for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 55.59%, so it is up there. And then when we take a look at the history of the short volume, you can see for the close of the 18th, it is at 58.06, and then for the close of the 19th being at 45.97. So it has gone down a bit. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 13.56%, Mullen does continue to have short squeeze potential. So to give you guys my final recap for both of these stocks, let's start off with Lucid. It was great to see that it was able to break above $20.61 and ended up giving us a close above $21. So as far as for the short-term price target, I would like to see Lucid get to at least $22.50. And the way that it's moving, and it is on a strong uptrend forming those higher lows, there's a possibility it can get there. And as far as weakness is concerned, I'm really not seeing it inside of the stock unless it does a big time break below 18 bucks. But again, we're going to have to wait and see if that actually happens. But if the market continues to be bullish, then I can see Lucid getting to that short-term price target quite easily. We also have to take into consideration, since we did have a higher area of support on the day, we want to see a continuation of that. And then as far as for Mullen, yes, it is barcoding, but there's some light at the end of the tunnel. If you guys remember, I said that we have resistance right at $1.14. Where was the high of the day? It was at $1.14. But the great thing is we were able to form a higher low from the previous day. So we want to see some continued strength in Mullen, and we do see, as far as for the overall day, there is some resistance right at $1.12. So get that break above that level to get to 114, see if we can get to 116, and I think it would be fairly bullish if it could have a close somewhere around $1.20 before the end of the week, or I should say by the end of day Friday. But if this doesn't happen, but it continues to form higher lows, that is still bullish as well. And as far as for Tesla, just to give you a brief overview in regards to earnings, and earnings per share, they were able to beat estimates. As far as for sales, they came in below estimates, and they also did report lower profit margins. And this is not something that you want to see. This is something that Tesla also prides himself on. So that's part of the reasons why when we got that information in regards to the earnings per share, we saw a strong spike in the stock inside of the after hours, and then it sold off afterwards. And taking that all into consideration and seeing that their margins have been impacted, they started saying, well, you know what, this is due to inflation and increased competition. And we know in regards to competition, it's going to continue to increase. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Tesla does to actually correct this. We also cannot forget, as far as for China, they were impacted by the lockdowns that they were having. So this is why moving forward and going into tomorrow, I'm going to be very interested to see what direction the market is going to go. And another point that I want to make sure that I bring to your attention, even though that they did fall short of their revenue estimates, they were able to increase revenue by 42% year over year. So I know a lot of investors should be excited about that. So as far as for the EV sector, if you're noticing there's somewhat of a pullback going on inside of the after hours, I wouldn't be concerned about that whatsoever. What really matters is what's going to happen when we go into the market open. Are we going to have that continued momentum? Are we going to have a pullback to slow down things considering how much we have ran up? So we're going to have to wait and see about that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and let's see how these stocks perform going into tomorrow. We'll talk soon.